Hey guys, it's me, Sucha here. I'm coming at you with a video I am really excited about talking about because this is something that's just changed my life so much, and regardless of all the hate comments and all of the backlash, it's something that I just believe in so much that has helped in my healing journey that I just want to share it with you. I just want to share it because if it can even help a few of you, that's going to mean the world. But I just think it's going to help more than just a few of you, because if we take it back to our ancestral roots, this is a big reason why I switched over to ancestral primal way of eating. So today the topic I'm coming at you with is how eating carnivore, or we can call it animal-based, has helped heal my mental health. And to begin with, I'd really like to define what mental health is. So if you look it up on Google, mental health is defined as a person's condition in regard to their psychological and emotional well-being. The term mental health is referring to, you could say, the well-being of our mind, but this is where it gets a little bit tricky because our mind is so complex. You can think of it as our brain in action. However, it's not just our physical brain. Our mind could kind of connect to us on a soul level. So our soul well-being has so much more to do with our mind, but also the physiological, the psychological, and then the emotional, and that is all intertwined. So a lot of what I share will be bringing together science and spirituality. So we're going to start off with what factors actually contribute to the well-being or the downfall of our psychological and emotional well-being, or AKA our mental health. So a big one is going to be hormones. And I can't stress this enough. You could think of like so many things that just dictate our well-being and how we show up in the world and our mood and everything on hormones. And so many of the things that dictate what's going on in the body is based off of hormones. For example, you could even think of insulin as a hormone that is dictating how our metabolism is going to work and function. Of course, there's dopamine, serotonin, there's estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. All of these are just examples of hormones that are basically sending messages to each other and communicating, and that plays a huge factor in our psychological and emotional well-being. And going hand in hand with hormones is our stress levels, and stress can come from relationships, it can come from work, it can come from career, business goals. So everything that encompasses stress is also going to play a factor. So all of those are factors of our psychological and emotional well-being. And now under the umbrella of stress, there's more of the physical stress that could actually be good, like going in the sauna or cold water therapy. That's causing stress signals to the body. But there's also the chronic stress that's just like a lot of life stuff going on over time that could be very detrimental to us. And that is usually what causes the downfall of our mental health. That could lead to anxiety if the stress is not released. All of that are factors to our mental health. So coming back to physical health, I want to emphasize the fact that physical health is not separate from mental health. Your physical health, so how you're taking care of this vessel, this body that you have, it just goes so hand in hand with your mental well-being. And if you think about the factors that I mentioned before, physical health being one, your hormones have to do with your physical health, but they also contribute a lot to your emotions. Another factor, and this one's a little bit controversial, is your spirituality or your belief system. So what faith you choose, or whether you decide to have a faith or not, is going to play a big factor on your emotional and psychological well-being, because your belief systems really dictate so much more than you think. Whether you decide to believe in God or the universe or whatever it is, you're creating a trust system. And when a human doesn't have trust, they do not feel safe. And when you don't feel safe, you can start to kick in so many stress responses, aka survival mode, and that can intensely affect your emotional and your psychological well-being. So as you can see, all of these factors are huge catalysts for bringing up or bringing down your mental health. And I want to address all of them just to put it out there. What we will be diving into is a lot of physical health, because I can't stress enough, again, physical health dictates your hormones. It can play a huge role in your stress. If your body's feeling stressed out, it can dictate your relationship to food, which can trigger a lot of emotions actually and perpetuate emotional eating. It can perpetuate bad, poor self-image, body image. And if your inside is literally feeling stressed out, then it's going to be really hard to focus on relieving yourself of stress and anxiety. So your relationship with food is going to affect your physical health, which thus affects your mental health. When you are feeling unsafe, if you're feeling a little bit of stress, if you're feeling a little bit of agitation around food, then you're just communicating all those stress responses with your body. Your hormones are going to be affected because your hormones are not feeling in harmony, and that's going to affect everything. And if you're not eating properly, of course, that's going to affect your physical health, and that includes your gut. Your gut microbiome is like your second brain. It communicates so much. It communicates if you're having acne, if you're breaking out, your hair fall, if you're getting your cycle, if you're a woman. It affects even people that you're attracted to, your libido, your sex drive. All of these things play such a huge role with your mental health. So I'm going to be sharing from my personal experience, and there are a ton of other incredible people who are on this journey and path of a more animal-based carnivore style of eating who can vouch for the same thing as well that I'll be sharing. But taking it back to my story, pretty much from ever since I could remember, I have not had the best relationship with food. The way I was raised had a lot of scarcity around food. I always had to finish up my plate, so I really didn't have a sense of portion control or what was enough. And I pretty much only knew the feeling of eating and then feeling so lethargic and heavy and not good about myself. And food wasn't giving me that liberating freedom. A few years ago, I actually did decide to partake in eating a fully vegan diet, and that was mostly focused on the environmental reasons and also animal welfare and also the health of myself. And with all of the documentaries and the media out there, there was definitely a lot of information and science to support the vegan diet being great for all of these things. I thought that eating healthy and eating vegan would help me a lot, but it actually pushed me into a deeper hole of binge eating that I was struggling with for years and a bad relationship with food. Because for me personally, I was not getting truly satiated. So I was actually making my body and my brain and my mind feeling even more unsafe by eating this way. And so although I was excited, I just would spend every single night still not feeling satiated. And pretty much the only ways I could cope were eating maybe a few spoons of almond butter or peanut butter or something that just had a lot of fat in it, because I was feeling starved of that fat and bioavailable protein. And even the nut butters couldn't really do it. And now with a lens of realizing, nuts are actually not really great to have in excess like that, realizing that made me now be way more at peace with the way I'm eating, which is a very animal-based approach to eating. I do have a video talking about my full journey from eating vegan to now eating more animal-based and actually going through the whole carnivore phase. But what I do want to emphasize and really share in this video is the effects of my mental health. So it was more than a year ago that I decided to do the full carnivore diet, which is the ultimate elimination diet. So I had really transitioned and taken it slow with my body to now I was fully eliminating everything. I even did a full week of eating just ribeyes, which is a specific cut of steak, which is delicious, super fatty, and I have a video on that as well. And so being able to actually get to a point where I was only having one ingredient, really, pretty much just eating red meat or beef, and then having a little bit of salt or bone marrow or bone broth on the side, but just basically eating one ingredient was such a big difference for me. Because if you or anyone you know was eating plant-based, you know that they say eat the rainbow, eat all the kinds of vegetables and fruits and grains and nuts. I would have most days where I'm probably plating at least 10 different ingredients throughout the day, if not more. And that includes everything needed to get that complete protein source and also get, all of the rainbow colors. And so from going from that mentality, and I had to constantly put so much thought into what I was going to eat, and then actually making the meal, and then actually going to the grocery store and making sure I got all the ingredients, and then digesting all of those different ingredients. It's like so much information you're putting in your body, and your body is like, hold up. Way long ago, all of these foods wouldn't have ever been available all at once. And now we have everything at our fingertips where we could make these plant-based protein bowls and acai bowls and all these things where there's 20 different ingredients sprinkled on. So it's a lot of information your body is trying to process at one time in one meal, which is it's a lot. And so that was a huge reason why eating animal-based helped a lot with my bloating and my inflammation, because I had just taken it way more simply. But coming back to eating just one ingredient, now all of a sudden, it's like I knew what my next meal was going to be. I knew what my meals were going to be all week. And I knew that eating just red meat, I was still going to get all of the nutrition that I needed. All of my essential nutrients were coming in from that one ingredient or two with the salt. I was going to feel so satiated. So I didn't have to worry about how am I going to get all of my nutrients? How am I going to get my fats and my proteins and my everything? And our body actually does have a mechanism to survive off of carbs. So again, the ketosis is addressed in those videos. It's not something I would recommend all of the time, but I think it could be super healing if you're doing this for a week or a few weeks to really take time and almost retreat yourself for your mental health. But coming back to that, I knew I was going to get all my essential nutrients. I knew I was going to get it through the most bioavailable, high quality food, aka grass-fed beef. And so I wasn't worrying about it. And all of a sudden I had so much more energy to put into other things, and I felt so at peace. Okay, I know you're gonna be like, Sucha, what about all of the cravings? Like, how do you just eat one ingredient? So what I did, I definitely took all of the months to ease myself into an animal-based way of eating. I actually never even anticipated and thought, I never had it as a thing I wanted to do the carnivore diet. It's like life brought me to this path gradually when I was ready to. So trust in your intuition and know that when life is ready, or if you're looking for like the guidance of a coach or someone to take you through that's always available for you to have, so you don't feel like you're alone. At that time, the partner I was with was also eating fully carnivore, so that felt like really good moral support because we lived together. We had pretty much the same ingredient in the fridge, and so it really wasn't a big deal. In fact, my dog eats raw carnivore, so even for him, it's like we're all kind of eating the same thing. That moral support is really huge, or joining a community. There's definitely a lot of carnivore challenges out there, but making sure you're really doing this for your mental health and not feeling like restriction or pressure. What I will say is that after a few weeks into this, as you just allow your body to adapt, it does get a lot more fat adapted, which means it's able to really pull energy from the meat, the fat source from it, to fuel, so you're not addicted to carbs, which actually most people are addicted to carbs and they're completely on a sugar burning metabolism. And so they're constantly needing that replenishment, which is why they feel completely dead and they go through these crashes. So if you are wanting to experience a more animal-based way of eating, you're definitely going to go through those phases of, if not being full keto, you're going to be more fat adapted. And so when you let your body adjust to that way of eating, it's able to really fuel and energize yourself, basically eating more meat and fueling from more fats, and then craving less sugars and less carbs. So what happens is when your body is feeling satiated, I can't emphasize this word enough, it's feeling satiated and safe, then your cravings are definitely going to come down. And people I've worked with can definitely vouch for this and say that. They're like, what? I never thought my cravings for desserts and sweet stuff would go away. I mean, most people, including myself, identified with having a sweet tooth. I was that person who would need and want dessert after every single meal. And I still definitely indulge and devour fruit and honey on the daily. It's definitely a way that I'm getting some energy, but I primarily am fueling from the fat and then feeling super satiated because I'm getting all the protein that my body is desiring, which is like literally your building blocks of life. You need protein for your immunity. You need protein for cellular repair and growth. It's not just if you're trying to build a bunch of muscle. Everyone needs protein. At the beginning of this video, I mentioned your relationship to food being huge because that affects so much. It affects your physical health, because if you're addicted to a food, you might be putting on weight or causing a lot of detriment to your organs by just overdoing it on sugar or maybe processed foods. Your relationship to food affects your body image. A lot of people get body dysmorphia even if they were fit, or even if they are maintaining a healthy weight, then they're not feeling good about their body image because the way they're eating is maybe binge and restrict cycles. Maybe it's emotional eating. Your relationship with food affects your digestion. It is literally information that you're telling your body and your cells how to process and break down this food. We connect and communicate with our body on such a cellular level that it's crazy just by thought alone. So when you no longer have all of these cravings coming at you, it's like you enter a whole nother level of peace. And most people who do animal-based eating end up in some kind of fasting routine just because it feels really nice. You'll eventually kind of just fall into it because it feels nice to have a big meal where you can feast and have a lot of meats and those animal foods and maybe snack with some fruit and honey here and there. But you fall into that routine, so you're really allowing your body to fully rest. And then on top of that, when you don't have mad cravings that are literally making you a slave to food, it's a whole nother level of mental clarity and peace you get. So that itself is creating such healing in your journey of mental health. Anything we do repetitively creates brain habits and patterns. And so what I really focus on is de-patterning. That's especially something I work with my clients on. And so when you're able to de-pattern, you're really creating the breakthroughs there. Because basically, emotional eating, although a lot of people say, oh, I need to switch over to intuitive, you do need to create some discipline and rhythm with your life to give yourself that liberation. Because if you're addicted to something, or if you've created a pattern, a lot of us have that reward system created. So like we eat, then we have dessert, and then only then we've trained our minds to only feel satiated after that dessert or sugar craving is taken care of. And that is actually a habit. It's literally an addiction that has been ingrained. So we need to actually break that down and de-pattern it specifically. It's not something that you need to be stuck with for the rest of your life. And there are ways to do this. So when you go through those steps and really work towards de-patterning, you're releasing so much. You're releasing all this pre-programming in your brain. When you actually fast and eat this way, you're increasing the neuroplasticity of your brain, which means your brain is becoming more plastic, which means that you're able to actually rewire and reprogram a lot. So this is an amazing opportunity to really step into a new amazing version of yourself, because not only are you releasing yourself of being a slave to food, but your brain feels so much more free, and you can focus your energy on all these new amazing things to learn, to read in your business that you can focus on. So it's giving you so much more freedom of the brain. I mentioned when I went through this experience myself, I experienced eating literally just a few ingredients, which created so much simplicity. And through that simplicity, I was also so satiated. So simplicity and satiation are really the two big things that we're going after in this diet. And when you experience simplicity, you're experiencing peace. When you feel satiation, you're experiencing safety. And so when you just feel simple and you feel safe, and it's like, you don't have to worry about all these other things, then you have so much more energy to use towards other things. You have so much more clarity, and you feel peaceful in your brain because you don't have the stress and anxiety. Your hormones feel balanced and peaceful. Your stress and anxiety levels are brought down because your body doesn't have to worry about being bloated, being inflamed. And you best believe if you have extra weight that you're carrying around, this way of eating is going to help you lose it. it. My weight used to fluctuate like crazy and I have to go through cutting phases and getting shredded. And now I'm just maintaining this equilibrium with my weight, which feels so peaceful. And for women listening on, my boobs actually got bigger. The way like my body has been, recomp. The way that my body has been recomposing is way more feminine and curvy, and the way that the weight fits and sits on my body has actually shifted a lot too ever since I've been eating this way. And I just feel way more vibrant. And again, I'm spending way less time thinking about food. It's like I know exactly what I'm going to eat. Even at restaurants now, I figured out how I'm going to eat, so I don't get stressed out by like, oh my gosh, there's going to be all these foods and I don't know how to order and like I'm going to be stressed out. Like none of that is there, and I can just worry about satiating myself. You know, as you go through this journey, there's going to be times where you're super good with it and then you feel that crash and you might slip into your old ways again. And be gracious with yourself and realize like every time you slip back, I promise you're gonna eat other foods and you're gonna be like, oh, I feel like complete crap. I notice the difference. And so view those slip ups or those cheats as a reminder, because every time you're reminded, you're going to feel so much more conviction in the way you're eating. And so when you get people who are like, why are you eating like this? Or why are you eating so much meat? Or, you know, why are you eating so strictly? And like, it's not going to phase you anymore, because you're going to feel so confident and so liberated and so freeing with this way of eating that you're even going to want to spread it. And I'm not going to say that you have to go out and spread this to the world. This can be something just for you, but we're all out here to just bring more peace to each other. And so that's why I wanted to share this video with you here today, because when I was in the thick of it with like really poor mental health, and you know, it's always a journey, but I was just really suffering. I mean, I'd spend so many days crying, whether it was about my body image or just wishing that I could just go to a restaurant without feeling stressed out, or just be in my fridge in my kitchen and not feel stressed out. And to be in a place where I feel so good about my weight, I feel so good about my period cycle, which is fully regulated. I feel good about my skin, my hair, which has been such a journey. And I feel really good with how I'm balancing stress and anxiety. And given there's all those other factors, like really working through relationships in your life, figuring out your career path and something that lights you up, and finding your spiritual path and connecting that way. These are all intertwined. But again, your physical health goes so hand in hand with your mental health. And that is such a huge component. Actually, going deeper into the journey of your physical health through diet alone can wake you up to so many things in life. When you improve one aspect of your life, it really sprinkles in and you're getting so much more depth into all of the other aspects of life. So I hope this helped you. If you have any questions, drop them in the comment box below. My name is Sucha. I'm so excited to keep delivering you this information. So if you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up and a subscribe. And if you are interested in working with me, specifically one-on-one, I am offering a few slots for that. So you can email me at sucha@livebliss.com. All of that information is below. We also host incredible retreats with Live Bliss, which is my company. And through those retreats, we actually incorporate some fasting and we incorporate a primal ancestral approach to eating. So if you're feeling like you just need an immersion, then check out the website below. That is a great place to see what retreats we have in store that you can join in on. They happen around the world. You can really get your feet wet with all of this. All right. Thank you so much for joining in. I love you.